Again, the answer depends on, I guess one would say, the perspective of the observers. I think in terms of the Syrians themselves, obviously the major priority is to stop the bloodletting and the killing. And from the perspective of regional actors, at least to do what is possible to make sure that if the fighting does not stop, that somehow the consequences of it can be contained and not spill over into other areas. Beyond that, of course, it's a question of what kind of outcome there could be if and when the fighting is stopped. And I think that from Israel's perspective, at least, there are two possible outcomes, and neither of which is particularly desirable. One, of course, is that the regime manages to prevail and reassert its control, and that would be a major boost to the standing and the power and the influence not only of the Assad regime itself, but also of its major regional backers, Hezbollah and particularly Iran. On the other hand, it's conceivable at least that the opposition would manage to prevail over the regime. And then the risk or the danger is that the bad guys in the rebel movement would overcome the good guys in the opposition movement, in which case we could have radical Islamists controlling Syria from Israel's perspective, and I dare say from the perspective of many other actors as well. That's not a very much better outcome. The third possibility, which is also something that's a source of concern, is that there is no central authority established, and that, in a sense, power in the country breaks down and disperses. In a case like that, border regions, neighboring regions to the border, could be something equivalent to a Wild West, where all kinds of radical, irresponsible, non-state actors are able to operate freely, something similar to what seems to be happening in some parts of Sinai now. So, all in all, the list of undesirable outcomes seems to be greater than the list of desirable outcomes, which is simply a political resolution of the conflict and the reestablishment of some central authority which is not going to pursue hostile, aggressive policies to anyone else. All of that, however, is highly hypothetical because at this point it doesn't seem that there's all that much that outside actors acting alone or together can help to bring about the desirable outcome. Look, I think all of these international initiatives are welcome because in their absence, it doesn't seem that anything other than continuation of a bad situation can be expected. But ultimately, I think people need to bear in mind the limitations of outside influence. Ultimately, whatever the outcome is, it will have to be something that's accepted by the major forces inside Syria itself.